So that was that. And then once that time was up and then I could go and talk to labels, my attorneys had set up meetings with every label imaginable. Okay. And every meeting I went to, all of them said the same thing. We heard you're hard to work with.
What?
Yes. Every label said, we heard you're hard to work with. I dealt with meetings with people, and I'm talking these major labels. I mean, I dealt with sitting in a meeting and the dude's has his back to me for 20 minutes while he's on a phone call, then turn around, look at me and say, so who's going to produce the record? And I'm thinking, I said, me, the Grammy Award winning producer and artist who produced my own record. So after about 6, 7 meetings going like that, I was just like, you know what? I'll figure this out myself. And so that's what I did. I moved on from there and I wound up linked up with this label called Compendia. And that's when I did the Resurrected record. And then from there, I did another independent deal with, this wasn't even a legitimate label. That was the Pictures album. And then I got with Hidden Beach for Exist after that. So it was like, and when I was with Hidden Beach, I did 2 albums. The second album, they only released in South Africa because they didn't really know what they were doing at some point. But that was it. It was so after that mountain of a fucking storm with everything that was going on with LaFace and Arista and all of that, I was just like, I just started to reevaluate a lot of things. Because I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make me not want to do music anymore. Nothing would make me want to not do music unless I just didn't have any more songs in me. But what it made me think about was, what was I? I'm not just a musician, not just completely defined by that. I'm a creative. And music is one of my creative expressions that I'm really, really great at. But then I always had art too, because I was doing my art behind the scenes the whole time I was doing music. I just wasn't like, it was more so like if someone said, hey, what do you do when you're not doing music? Art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Or movies, stuff like that. But it was like the disappointing thing was to have any gap of time when you're developing connection with an audience that is growing, that's getting older, and you're discovering new people. But after that, the taste in my mouth about the music business, I clearly knew at that point in time, I don't like the way this tastes. I'm not digesting this anymore. I'm gonna do this on my own terms, when I want, how I want. That's when it changed for me, because I just experienced a lot of stuff all at once, and I'm like, this is not what it's supposed to be about. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I didn't get into this business to be political. Got into this business so I can make music. And once it gets to a point where it becomes more about other things other than the creativity and expression of music, it's not fun anymore. And when it's not fun, you either don't do it anymore or you find a different way to do it. My choice was to find a different way to do it. And that's really what it boils down to.
Do you think you were blacklisted for some reason then?
Here's what I will say. There was a time when someone said they were blacklisted or blackballed or whatever. That shit would last forever, right? But at that time, the way that record executives were operating on 2-year contracts, that shit only lasts a couple of years, right? But it's one of those things where because I was not in any conversations with anybody that was discussing me, I don't know who said what. All I do know is that I was only signed to one label at that time. And for other labels to say that about me being hard to work with, I'm like, where y'all getting that from? And that was after me being as diplomatic as I could. There was no blow up. Like, I would never, like, LaFace didn't steal no money from me or none of that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that experience. My experience was, I had a pretty cool experience, right? But it's just that it became something else that wasn't about music. But I enjoyed everything positive that I experienced. I enjoyed that. I have no regrets for that.
Mm.
I could have not done with all the other crazy political stuff. But it does, it just puts a bad taste in your mouth about how the business operates,
Yeah.
about doing music, you know. And every industry has their thing. I'm certain of it. Like I'm learning that in the fine art industry now. It's like it's cliquish, right? You have these cliques, and then you have people that are afraid of you getting ahead of them, blah, 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 whatever. But the reality is that when it comes to music and anything that's creative, it's enough room for all of us to make contributions. And I remember someone asked me like, "Hey, what is your opinion on the state of R&B?" Some years ago. I said, "My opinion doesn't matter." What do you think about that? It doesn't. It's like I'm not buying the music. I said, my contributions is what matters. If I'm going to contribute something, that's what matters. But my opinion, like I'm not one that's going to sit up and have an opinion about what someone else creates. I
Mm.
respect creators. If you think it's creative, that's on you. I might not like it, but I don't have to say I don't like it. I remember
Mm.
someone said to me once, I was doing an interview, and I said, listen, I said, I never ask people if they like my music or if they think it's good. Why would I spend time and energy and natural ability to create something and then hand it over and ask someone, what do you think? I never asked that. But I say is listen to this and tell me how it makes you feel. Because
Mm.
that's really all that matters. If I don't like something, I would never tell someone, I don't like what you create.
Yeah.
Pointless. Because there's going to be hundreds, thousands, or millions of people that's going to love what that person creates.
Yeah.
Your opinion doesn't matter unless you're buying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so that's how I look at it. And it's good. It's good to see where some people from that era, what they're doing now, and that my whole thing is as long as everybody's happy and satisfied with where they are, or
Yeah.
as Dave Chappelle said it, find an altitude of success that's comfortable for you.
Mm.
Yeah, because the reality is I'm more successful than a lot of people
Mm.
that I was around in that time. But
I
it's
mean,
not what they think though, you know?
yeah. But you had good people around, made good decisions, and you left at your own terms. But right now, then, are you? You know, I saw some videos you posted of doing doing some artwork.
Mhm.
Um, was this stuff that you got inspired by your dad? Because when we start off, you spoke about your dad being an artist,
Yeah.
yeah. Was this stuff that you've always had from him, or was this you found you because you said you were going to be an architect when you
Yeah.
that was a thought. So is this was that still part of this?
Well, I will tell you this. I took this upon myself at a very young age. I always knew my father was an artist. I would see his drawings. He would use pastel chalk on paper.
Hmm.
I would always see his drawings around the house, so I knew I had that ability. And music, once we got into music, we figured out Dad could play better than we could play. So what I wanted to do was with those two gifts, it became my charge to go to levels that my father just didn't think to do.
Hmm.
So with music, yeah, my father a musician, but nobody really knew that. Nobody in the family really knew that. So I'm like, I took that and sold millions of albums, picked up a Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
I'm known for making quality music. The way I see it, the only evidence that my father ever existed on this planet is by me telling you. That's where I get my talents from, right? And then when it came to art, my dad would do like he would do like portraits for people.
Hmm.
He might do like and they might pay him a couple $100. But what happens is that when I'm doing it, like when I'm working on a piece of art, I remember at some point I was working on two pieces and I went and bought some chalk and to incorporate it in this piece. And I was just like, as I was doing it, I was remembering my dad used to show me and my brother how to blend and do the shading. but he do with his, he showed like with his fingers, and but then I have these little shading sticks that I use because that shit gets on your hands, hard to get off. But I was like, when I create art, even when I was doing music, I always felt like I was channeling my father because I'm him up for the second swing. You know, so and then even now to this day, my 12-year-old son lives with me. He plays piccolo flute, regular flute, clarinet, bass clarinet. He can play any saxophone, right? And violin. And now he's telling me he wants a keyboard. And he's like, Dad, when are you gonna show me some paint techniques? I love that, right? Because the difference between what he's seeing versus what I saw my father have talents and not have an interest to make money from them like that. My son watches me create paintings. I'll even involve him and say, hey, what do you think I should name this one? And he'll be like, how much you gonna sell it for? I'll tell him and he'll be like, name it this. So I involve him in the process. So he sees me create art, he sees me sell it. He watches, he rides with me to go pack it up and ship it, right? And the same thing with music. He watches me create music, watches me perform it. So he's growing up knowing that, oh, this is a real thing that you can actually make a living from, as opposed to it being like, he won't have to do what I did, which was, no, I'm going to make something of this, right? And so when I'm doing anything creative, I always have my father in mind.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
Somewhere in between.
For even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay, you okay?
They don't understand what Jonas boys are winning all spirits.
Play it.
These guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different